There's nothing quite like it, is there? The rumble of a big block, the smell of premium gas, and a wide-open ribbon of American asphalt bake-drying under a brutal July sun. You've spent all winter wrenching, polishing, and dialing in that ride. But right now, as the mercury climbs past hot 90, a silent drama is unfolding right beneath your floorboards. While you're keeping an eye on that water temp gauge, your classic automatic transmission. Whether it's a bulletproof Turbo 400, a crisp torque flight, or a trusty old Power Glide is literally cooking in its own juices. And by the time you notice the slip, the late shift, or that unmistakable smell of burnt friction material, the damage is already done. Your wallet is about to take a multi-$1,000 hit, and your summer cruising season, gone. Today, we are diving deep into the 5 hidden summer killers that are actively trying to gut your classic transmission. We're talking about the silent failures that standard maintenance misses entirely. But before we drop the pan and look at the carnage, do me a huge favor. If you love keeping these vintage Detroit iron legends alive and on the road where they belong, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below letting me know what tranny you're running behind your power plant. Let's get a head count of the TH350s, C6s, and manual guys out there. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so we can keep the algorithm feeding the classic car community. All right, grab a cold one, lean back, and let's talk shop. Let's start with killer number 1, the fluid flash. Now, I know you know how to check your oil, and I bet you checked your transmission fluid on level ground, engine idling, warm, running through the gears first. You pull the stick, wipe it on a clean rag, and see that nice, familiar pinkish red hue. You think, we're good to go, buddy. Hold your horses. That beautiful pink color can be a flat-out lie. Standard automatic transmission fluid, even great stuff like Licky Moly or classic Dexron formulations, has a definitive breaking point. When you're cruising down the highway, your transmission fluid temperature should ideally hover right around 175 to 200 degrees. For every 20 degrees you go over that limit, the lifespan of that fluid doesn't just drop, it cuts right in half. Once your tranny hits about 220 degrees, the chemical additives start to cook. The anti-foaming agents break down. The friction modifiers oxidize. What happens next is what we call the fluid flash. The fluid loses its viscosity, its ability to hold pressure and lubricate those tight tolerances. Here's the kicker. The fluid might still look decently pink on the stick, but its chemical backbone is completely shattered. It becomes thin as water. When it gets thin, the clutches start to slip ever so slightly. That slippage creates friction, friction creates more heat, and boom, you've triggered a runaway thermal reaction. Don't just trust your eyes, trust your nose. If you pull that dipstick and catch even a faint whiff of burnt toast or a sharp acrid chemical odor, that fluid is telling you its life story. It's done. It's cooked. If you're running hard in the summer heat, don't wait for the fluid to turn black like engine oil. Swap it out, and if you really want peace of mind, upgrade to a high-temp synthetic like Redline or a premium Licky Moly ATF that can handle those unexpected spikes without losing its temper. Next up is a horror story that strikes fear into the heart of any seasoned gearhead. In the modern car world, they call it SMOD, the strawberry milkshake of death. But it's been killing classic cruisers for decades. Back in Detroit's golden age, engineers figured out a clever, space-saving way to cool transmission fluid. They ran 2 metal lines from the tranny directly into a separate cooling chamber inside the bottom or side tank of your main engine radiator. The idea was simple. Let the engine's cooling system pull heat away from the transmission. It works great until it doesn't. Inside that radiator, you have hot, pressurized engine coolant on one side of a thin metal barrier and hot transmission fluid on the other. Over 40, 50, or 60 years, that internal cooling tube takes a beating. Corrosion from old or incorrect antifreeze eats away at the metal. Vibration stresses the solder joints. When summer hits, your engine is running hotter, creating higher pressure in the cooling system. Suddenly, that microscopic crack in the internal cooler gives way. Because the engine cooling system operates under pressure, it forces a mix of water and ethylene glycol directly into your transmission return line. Water is the absolute nemesis of automatic transmission clutches. The friction plates inside your Power Glide or Torque Flight are lined with a paper-based material held together by highly specialized water-soluble glues. The second that coolant hits those clutches, the glue dissolves. The friction material literally peels off the steel plates like wet cardboard. Within miles, your transmission is a slipping, roaring mess of ruined metal. If you open your radiator cap or pull your tranny stick and see a thick, frothy pink milkshake concoction, do not turn that key. Your transmission is on life support, and you need to flush the entire system immediately. Isolate the cooler, and pray the clutches haven't unbonded yet. Now let's talk about a tiny, unassuming part that costs about $20 but can cause a $2,000 rebuild. I'm talking about the vacuum modulator. If you're running an older GM, Ford or Mopar automatic from the late 60s or 70s, your transmission doesn't have a computer telling it when you're stepping on the gas. It relies on good old-fashioned engine vacuum to know how hard the engine is working. When you're light on the throttle, engine vacuum is high, telling the tranny to shift nice, smooth, and early. When you mat the pedal, vacuum drops, telling the transmission to hold the gear and bump up the line pressure to clamp those clutches hard for a high torque shift. Inside that little metal canister is a delicate rubber diaphragm. And what does summer heat do to old rubber? It turns it brittle, cracks it, and destroys it. When that diaphragm ruptures, two terrible things happen. First, the transmission loses its vacuum signal. It thinks you have the pedal floored 100% of the time. Your shifts get incredibly late, harsh, and clunky. But here's the hidden killer aspect. A tiny crack in that diaphragm allows the engine's intake vacuum to literally suck transmission fluid straight out of the pan, up the vacuum line, and right into the intake manifold to be burned in the combustion chambers. Have you ever noticed your classic car blowing a strange puff of white or light blue smoke only when it shifts gears, or right after you started up warm at a cruise-in? You might think your valve guides are going south. But before you pull your cylinder heads, drop down and pull the rubber vacuum hose off your transmission modulator. If fluid drips out of that hose, your modulator is blown. It's starving your transmission of fluid while simultaneously lowering your line pressure, causing the clutches to slip and burn under the hot summer sun. Swap it out before your next weekend cruise. All right, let's say you're proactive. The summer heat is brutal, so you went online and bought a nice, shiny aftermarket auxiliary transmission cooler. You mounted it up front, ran the lines, and figured you wrapped up the problem. Well, you might have accidentally set a trap for your own transmission. When it comes to aftermarket coolers, the plumbing matters just as much as the cooler itself. I see guys make two massive mistakes every single summer. First is restriction. Some older, cheap tube and fin styles coolers actually have very restrictive internal diameters. If your classic pump is trying to push fluid through a straw, it slows down the entire flow rate. The fluid spends too much time inside the transmission absorbing heat before it can ever make it out to the cooler. You want a high-quality stacked plate style cooler that offers minimal restriction and maximum surface area. Second is the routing order. If you are running an auxiliary cooler in conjunction with your factory radiator cooler, you have to plumb it right. The fluid should leave the transmission, go into the radiator cooler first to shed the initial extreme heat, then pass through your auxiliary cooler second to drop the temperature down even further before returning to the tranny. If you plumb it backward, sending it to the auxiliary cooler first and then into a hot 210-degree radiator tank, you are literally reheating the fluid right before it goes back into your transmission. It's like taking a cold shower and then jumping into a sauna with your clothes on. Check your lines, make sure they aren't kinked near the frame rails, and ensure that fluid is flowing the right way. Finally, we have the ultimate summer crucible. ACID's stop-and-go heat soak. Picture this. You're heading to the biggest local cruise-in of the year. The turnout is massive. But now, you're stuck in a mile-long line of cars, moving at 2 miles an hour, idling on the hot blacktop. Your engine fan is screaming, trying its best, but there's zero airflow coming under the car. This is where manual transmission guys have a slight advantage. They can pop it in neutral and let the clutch out. But if you're running a classic automatic, your torque converter is constantly slipping while you hold your foot on the brake in drive. That torque converter is essentially a fluid pump. When you're idling in gear, it's churning that fluid, generating massive amounts of kinetic heat. Because the car isn't moving, there is absolutely zero air rushing across your transmission oil pan to cool it down. The heat rises off the pavement, gets trapped in the transmission tunnel, and just bakes the entire unit. This is called heat soak. Your line pressures drop because the fluid is boiling, and your seals, which are likely older neoprene or rubber, start to get hard and brittle. Once those internal lip seals harden, they can't hold the pressure required to keep the forward clutches tightly engaged. The next time you step on the gas to finally pull into the show, the tranny hesitates, revs up, and bangs into gear. That's the sound of your clutches screaming for help. When you're stuck in those brutal summer traffic jams or cruise-in lines, don't just sit there in drive with your foot on the brake for 10 minutes. Pop that shifter into neutral. It relieves the load on the torque converter, reduces the heat generation drastically, and gives your entire drivetrain a chance to breathe. It's a simple, old-school habit that can save you a world of hurt. Look, our classic muscle cars weren't built to sit in a climate-controlled museum. They were built to be driven, enjoyed, and let loose on the open road. But summer introduces an entirely different set of rules for 40- and 50-year-old engineering. Keep your fluids fresh, check those vacuum lines, route your coolers properly, and give your tranny a break when the traffic gets thick. A little bit of vigilance right now ensures that your classic stays out of the rebuild shop and exactly where it belongs, tearing up the blacktop. If you made it this far, you're the true heartbeat of the classic car community. Don't forget to check your transmission fluid before your next cruise this weekend. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment about your current transmission setup, and share this video with a buddy who's got a vintage ride in the garage. Until next time, keep the shiny side up, keep those pressures high, and I'll see you at the next crossroads right here on Car Reforge. Take care, everybody.